Want to know what the president really believes? Don't listen to their speeches. Look at how they redesign the White House. Because architecture doesn't lie. For over 200 years, every president has left their mark on the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Roosevelt built a room that didn't exist. Truman let the entire building almost collapse. Jackie turned it into a museum. Nixon buried a swimming pool. And Trump, well, he installed a Diet Coke bottle. Hi, I'm Celine, interior and building designer, and I'm going to show you why these 5 redesigns reveal more about a presidency than any American textbook. Because here's what I realized. Presidents don't just redecorate. They declare who they are through architecture. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. So the question is, what were they declaring? But before we dive in, you need to understand what the White House actually is. Because it's not just where the president lives, it's a physical embodiment of American power. Ordered by George Washington, designed by James Hoban in Georgian style, the construction began in 1792 and was first occupied by President John Adams in 1800. Almost every president has changed it, because controlling the White House means controlling how America sees and shows itself. And these 5 presidents, they rewrote it in a way that still shapes how we see the White House today. Let's start with the man who invented the modern presidency. 1902, Theodore Roosevelt moved in, and he looked around and think, this is chaos. Well, that's actually what I imagine he said. Because offices were mixed with bedrooms, staffs working where kids play, visitors walking through the living quarters. It was basically an open plan nightmare before open plan was even a thing. So what does Teddy do? He hires marking men in white, same architects that were designing Madame Grande's building, and he tells them, separate power from family, make the presidency an institution. And they breed something that didn't exist before, the West Wing. For the first time ever, the presidency as a separate office. Works moves out of the living quarter. This allows the second floor to return to family living space. The building later becomes the foundation for the future West Wing. But here's the genius part and where it gets interesting. He created the Oval Office. Not any office, an oval. A room with no corner, no hand, no limits, symbolizing endless authority. Every other office has corners, edges, limits. Roosevelt's one is infinite. That's not just interior design, that's a power move written in architecture. Every president since then has sat in some version of Roosevelt Oval Office. That's kind of wild when you think about it. It also returned the building to its original Beaux-Arts style. The interior was designed for maximum impact and formality. The old inefficient grand staircase was replaced, and the state dining room was expanded with English oak, carved American bison head to reflect Roosevelt's love for American wilderness. The renovation also included significant upgrades like new plumbing, electrical, replacing gas fixtures, and a better structure. In 1901, Roosevelt officially adopted the nickname White House, distinguishing it from the state-level executive mansion and enhancing its status as a unique national monument. So what it revealed? The Imperial Presidency. The 1902 renovation was a deliberate effort to show power. The design showed the new International Hall of the United States, providing formal and grand, efficient headquarters for a more powerful executive branch. It separates function from living. By moving the office away from the living quarters, the White House was no longer a working mess. It became a proper home for the president and their family. The design also included a new room for the press, reflecting Roosevelt's understanding of the need to control media coverage, to shape the public opinion. While the design of the West Wing was temporary, it was soon made permanent by William Howard in 1909, and the 1902 white aesthetic established what is now the timeless image of the White House. What is the lasting impact of Roosevelt redesign? Every president since then has worked in some version of the Oval Office. He didn't just redesign the White House, he redesigned the presidency. So Roosevelt built an empire. 46 years later, this empire was about to collapse, literally. By 1948, the White House was literally about to collapse. A piano leg broke through the floor during a reception. Can you imagine? You are the White House party, first daughter Margaret Truman is playing Chopin on the piano, and suddenly crash! The piano in the basement. Truman's bathtub was sinking into the floor. The building was over 100 years old. It had never been properly reinforced. That's when you know you have a problem. Truman had two choices: demolish and rebuild, or preserve and reconstruct. He chose option number 2. He stripped the White House to its bones, saved the exterior wall, and rebuilt everything else. Investigation revealed that the White House was structurally unsound, with shifting floor, dangerous weak beams, and a sagging, unsafe master bedroom. There is still a modern steel frame inside the wall. The White House basically became a new house inside old facade. And they added 2 underground levels: storage, mechanical system, and bunkers. It was Cold War after all. They removed and cataloged every historical pieces such as woodwork, mantel, chandelier, to reinstall them in the new structure. They also modernized the White House, adding air conditioning, modern plumbing, electrical system, and elevators. They reinforced the wall, added secure room, and created an emergency exit. The Cold War required a fortress. In 47 to 48, prior to the major renovation, Truman added a balcony to the south portico, which was controversial, but added private outdoor space for the family. So what it revealed about Truman's presidency? Truman was preservationist and a pragmatist. He respected history but understood necessity. The outer shell stayed the same: tradition, continuity, American heritage preserved. But the interior was completely modern, strong, secure, functional. The message was: American honor his past, but is breed for the future. Because this happened during Cold War, Truman was literally fortifying the presidency. He was prepared for nuclear war, while maintaining the appearance of a graceful historic home. Critics said he destroyed historic fabrics. Supporters say he saved the building from collapsing. But here's the truth: without Truman renovation, there would be no White House today. Truman saved the building, but it still looks boring. Enter Jackie Kennedy. When the Kennedy arrived in 1961, Jackie was horrified. The White House looked bland, functional, but soulless, because Truman's reconstruction was structurally sound but aesthetically flat. Jackie's restoration transformed the White House into a museum-quality showcase of American history and art. She wanted every room to tell a story, to showcase American craftsmanship, art, and history. This wasn't just interior design, it was cultural courage. Can you imagine Jackie Kennedy hunting through attics for historic furniture, cataloging every piece, creating a guidebook? She even created a non-profit organization to fundraise and advise on historic preservation, and she made it a permanent institution. She hunted attics, museum, private collection for furniture that had been once in the White House, returning historic pieces to their original home. She supported American talent. Every piece was chosen to represent American excellence. She created period-appropriate rooms. Every state room represents a specific era of American history: Federal period, Empire style, Victorian elegance. She worked with designer Stéphane Boudin, Sister Parrish, and curator Lauren Waxman Pierce to execute the vision. She even created the iconic Blue Room, furniture in French Empire style, gold accents, silk fabrics, museum quality. But here's the genius: she made it look effortless, elegant, no ostentatious, refined, not showy. So what it revealed? Jackie Kennedy understood soft power. While JFK projected strength abroad, she projected sophistication at home. The White House became a stage for cultural diplomacy. Foreign leaders were received in rooms that showcased American taste, wealth, and historical depth. The message was: America is not just militarily powerful, we're culturally sophisticated. Jackie invited CBS camera for a tour of the White House. 80 million Americans watched. She even personally guided the viewer into each room, explaining the history, the art, the culture. It was the first time most Americans entered into the White House, and it was breathtaking. Jackie Kennedy created a template for the White House preservation. Every First Lady since then has followed her model. She made the White House like a museum, but a living museum, a home that honors history. Jackie Kennedy made the White House beautifully aesthetic. Nixon made it a battleground. By 1970, television has changed politics. The press was more powerful than ever. And Nixon had a problem. He hated the press, but he needed it. So he built them a room, gave them assigned seats, professional lighting, the perfect TV setup. And everyone thought, wow, he's accommodating the press. But really, he was containing them, controlling them, literally putting them in a box. Roosevelt had built an indoor swimming pool in the West Wing. Nixon covered it with the floor. He built a podium, professional lighting, 49 seats with assigned spots for major outlets. Camera positioning, lighting rig, audio system. He made it television ready. The most famous podium in America, seal of the president, flag on either side, perfect TV framing. What it revealed? Nixon understood controlling access to the president is controlling the narrative. By building a proper press room, he contained the press corps. They had their space, he had his. The physical separation was strategic. He literally buried a pool, symbol of leisure, health, Kennedy-era glamour, and built a stage for information warfare. Every press briefing you ever seen of the president was filmed in Nixon room. His architecture outlasts his presidency. And then came Trump, who broke every rule in the book. Okay, we need to talk about Trump. When Trump entered office in 2017, he immediately began changing the Oval Office. Most presidents make subtle changes. Trump made bold one. He replaced Obama's crimson curtains with gold brocade. Heavier, more ornamented, more gold. Actually, Trump made me think of Goldmember in Austin Powers, my opinion. He commissioned a new rug, light beige with gold ornamented, of course, and the presidential seal enlarged. Some call it ostentation. He also removed some portraits and added others, most notably Andrew Jackson, Trump's state role model. Behind the desk, he added 5 military branch flags, more prominent displays than previous presidents. And he also installed on the Resolute desk a button that summoned a butler with a Diet Coke. Widely mocked, but revealing. Critics call it gauche, disrespectful to the office dignity. Supporters call it refreshing, authentic, a rejection of establishment rule. Every president adapts the Oval Office, but most honor the continuity. Trump rejected continuity. He brought his aesthetic, gold, bold, branded, into the nation's most formal room. The message was, I'm not here to feed the office. The office is here to feed me. He wants to be remembered forever. Today, in 2026, he has several plans for new buildings to make an homage to himself, by himself, for himself. The new remodeling of the White House can be actually devastating to the beautiful historical building. I don't know if you've seen, maybe on Disney, they showed some plans and 3Ds of his idea of the remodeling of the White House, and it's actually really weird. Like, there is a staircase leading nowhere. It will actually disfigure the White House. But if we need to talk about that, we need a full video. So if you'd like me to do a video about the new remodeling of the White House, the critics and the problems, well, let me know in the comments below. So what all 5 redesign reveals about power? Roosevelt built infrastructure for an imperial presidency. The West Wing equals separation of power from domesticity. The Oval Office is a symbol of endless authority. The message was, America is an empire now. Truman built a fortress disguised as a historic home. Steel frame inside, traditional shell outside. Underground bunker during Cold War. The message was, strength through preservation. Jackie Kennedy built a museum of American sophistication. Cultural diplomacy through design. Soft power projection. The message was, American leads through culture, not just military. Nixon built infrastructure for information control. Press room, controlling and managing the press. Buried leisure, built a narrative management. The message was, television is the battleground. Trump built a personal brand into the office, rejected traditional formality. The message was, the office serves me, I don't serve the office. So what does this mean for us? You may not be redesigning the White House, but you are redesigning your life, your home office, your apartment, your bedroom, etc. And whether you realize it or not, you're making the same choices of these 5 presidents. So here's my question for you. Do you separate work from life, or do you let them blur? Roosevelt built a whole wing for the separation. You may just need a door, a curtain, or a dedicated desk, but the principle is the same. You build infrastructure for lives you want. Do you just decorate or structure your space around your actual goals? Truman's choice: preserve the shell, rebuild inside. When was the last time you looked at what's not working inside your home and actually did something? Not just rearrange, but actually rebuild. Truman honors the past while building the future. You don't have to choose between tradition and progress. Jackie choice. Jackie created with intention. Every object told a story. Look around your space right now. Does every object tell a story, or are you just accumulating stuff? Nixon choice. Nixon controlled his narrative by containing the press. How do you control your narrative? Do you let people see inside, or do you keep everything behind closed doors? Boundaries are architecture too. Trump choice. Trump, be authentic, but consider the context. Sometimes you need to fit the room, sometimes the room needs to fit you. Okay, so we've looked at 5 presidents, 5 redesigns, 5 declarations of power. But here's what I realized while researching this. They aren't just lessons about presidents. They are lessons about how any of us declare who we are through the space we create. 5 different strategies, 5 different declarations. Because that's what architecture does. It frees a moment of identity in physical form. And the White House is just the same process on the world stage. The building is still standing after 250 years. Still the center of American power. Not because it stays the same, but because it evolves, layer after layer, vision after vision, presidency after presidency. And that's true for your space too. You're not stuck with just one design, one choice, one declaration. You can layer, you can evolve. You can rebuild when needed, preserve what matters, and declare something too. That's not weakness, that's how architecture works. Thanks for watching. Here's my question for you. If you could redesign the Oval Office, what would you change? And what would this change mean? Let me know in the comments below. Space tells story if you know how to listen. If you want to learn this language with me, please subscribe, like this video, share with a friend, and let me know if there is another building that shows powers that you want me to analyze. I'm Celine, your space storyteller. See you next time.